Improving your lifts takes time, consistency, and effort. What if I told you that you might be missing something that would add kilos to your lift straight away? The first pull is the most important aspect of the snatch and the clean. It really sets us up for success when we're starting our lifts. It's near on impossible to save a lift if you get started on the wrong trajectory. It builds bad habits and it strengthens areas you may not need strengthened. So in this video, we're going to go through 2 simple exercises that will help make sure you're hitting the right positions, strengthening them, and go through cues and techniques to help you learn what it feels like when you're hitting these positions. So exercise 1, we're going to start with positions first. We need to make sure we're hitting the right positions before we go and strengthen them. One of my favorite exercises to use is a tempo snatch. This is where you hold your set position and then you take about 3 seconds from the floor to around your explosion point, which is going to be a little bit above the knee to mid-thigh, before hitting a snatch or before hitting a clean. The goal of this exercise is to feel the load in the legs. It's to also feel yourself hold the position or hold that shoulders over the bar as you come up off the floor and feel those knees come out of the way. Another exercise in this same category that is a bit of a bonus is a snatch with a pause at the knee. So you deadlift it from the floor to about the hang position, hold that for 3 to 5 seconds before continuing on to a snatch. Both excellent exercises to help with that first pull. The second exercise we're going to get into is more on strengthening these positions. A common exercise that we give beginners in our gym is a snatch deadlift to the knee and then lowering back down to the floor. The goal with this is to really strengthen those positions that we talked about earlier. Shoulders staying over the barbell, using your legs, loading them, hitting the position at the top of the knee, and then lowering down with nice control. We don't want to hear those plates hit the floor. A bonus tip for beginners is if you're learning these positions for the first time, getting your set position can be a little bit difficult, especially if you're doing this on your own. So a tip that we like to use is we like to take the barbell off the rack, teach people how to hinge to the top of the knee, and we might do that for 3, 4, 5 reps for a few sets, sometimes even potentially weeks. But once they're getting that hang position pretty correct, we will then get them to lower it down to the floor. So then when they get to the floor, they stay tight, they don't lose it, and then they deadlift back up to the top of the knee and then continue into the hips. Now, some great cues that we can use to help with correcting this first pull. So we're going to start with how we grip the bar. So we've obviously got our hook grip, but a cue that I like to use is slowly turning your knuckles down so they're continually facing at the floor. It doesn't have to be like overly turned, but just creating that tension at the wrist a little bit, and you should feel tension in the lats. Cool? We're not trying to think retract back and down, we're just trying to feel tension in our upper back as we take the barbell off the floor. The second cue that we use is we cue push with the midfoot. Now it's going to go forward and backward, but our goal is to keep it as close to midfoot through as much of the pull for as long as possible. If we can do that, if we can keep our tension in our upper back and we can keep our midfoot loaded as we bring the bar back into us, chances are you're going to hit phenomenal positions without having to overcomplicate it or overthink it. And then the final cue, if this isn't kind of making too much sense for people, you don't necessarily have to use this cue, but I would cue sweeping the bar back into you. So let that bar come back into you off the floor. I might even allow the person to start with the bar, half an inch away from their shin so they can feel that. And then as they get more proficient, get them tighter and tighter and tighter. So now that we've nailed that first pull, the trick's going to be getting underneath the barbell. So check out this video to find out more on how to get underneath the bar. Cheers, guys.